The Ruben Amorim era has officially begun at Manchester United. The former Sporting boss replaces Erik ten Hag, who struggled to find form early this season. Amorim inherits a squad with undeniable star power, but one that remains far from the dominant United of old, and quite different from the one I envisioned in my rebuild when ten Hag first took charge. If you're looking to replicate this rebuild yourself, EA's new live start point feature lets you begin the current season as of November 11th with realistic league standings. Since I started recording this rebuild a few weeks ago, I manually simulated United's results to reflect their struggles. As it stands, we're taking over in November, with United sitting 12th in the Premier League and in a precarious Europa League group stage position. Amorim's tactics were clear from his first match in charge, with United adopting a 3-4-2-1 formation similar to his system at Sporting. My predicted lineup includes former Sporting players Manuel Ugarte and of course club captain Bruno Fernandes. He will handle most set pieces, and 3-4-2-1 setup while attacking on paper provides solid defensive cover with the right instructions. Simulating through November and December, we end the calendar year 10th in the Premier League standings, still short of European qualification, but showing signs of improvement. In the Europa League, we've clawed back and are on track to qualify for the knockout stage playoffs. However, we've been eliminated from the Carabao Cup, leaving the FA Cup as our primary domestic hope. A major question for Amorim's rebuild is how quickly he'll turn to the transfer market to reshape this squad. The striker position is the biggest concern, with no player scoring more than 3 Premier League goals so far this season. One exciting option is Victor Gyökeres. With Amorim fresh from Sporting and Gyökeres in red-hot form, this transfer feels like the perfect fit. If United want to solve their striker woes, now is the time to make a move for the Swedish star. Gyökeres began his football journey in Sweden with Bromma Pjotkerar, where his goal-scoring talents helped secure the team's promotion from Sweden's second division in 2017. His impressive performances caught the attention of Brighton and Hove Albion, earning him a move to the Premier League later that year. At Brighton, Gyökeres continued to grow through loan spells at St. Pauli and Swansea City. These experiences were crucial, allowing him to refine his physicality and tactical skills. In 2021, Gyökeres joined Coventry City, where he became one of the championship's top strikers. Over 2 standout seasons, his work ethic and clutch goals made him a fan favorite and solidified his reputation as a prolific scorer. By 2023, Gyökeres had moved to Sporting in Portugal, where he's continued his meteoric rise. With an astonishing 24 goals in 19 matches this season, he's become one of Europe's most promising and most wanted forwards. If United decide to move forward in January, it is going to be a big price, with Gyökeres' transfer value rumored around £85 million. That number is expected to go down should any club decide to wait till summer, but I'm not sure that's the best option. We'll go ahead and make some preliminary updates on our youth academy. To start off with, we have Sebastian Fischer, a 52 rated German left midfielder, but I'll mostly be focusing on finding new youth academy talent, starting in England to search for a right midfielder with the winger plus and wide midfielder plus playstyles. This was inspired by David Beckham's career at Manchester United. Part of the class of '92, Beckham was known for his pinpoint crosses and iconic free kicks. Before making his move to Real Madrid in 2003, Beckham made 394 appearances and scored 85 goals for Manchester United. We'll go ahead and sign all 3 of our scouts. Carter Fletcher is a 5-star scout from England. He'll be setting up the network in France to search for a box-to-box and playmaker center midfielder. With Paul Pogba set to return to professional football in 2025, I thought he would make for a good storyline. His career with United are split up into 2 parts, first joining as part of their academy in 2009, but leaving for Juventus in 2012 due to limited opportunities. His return in 2016 was a world record feat at the time, and he helped United win the UEFA Europa League and EFL Cup. One scout left to sign, it's going to be Enzo Colombo, a 5-star scout from Italy. He'll be searching Wales for a left midfielder with the winger and wide midfielder playstyles. Ryan Giggs was the inspiration for this scouting network, spending his entire playing career at Manchester United. Initially joining the youth academy system in 1987, he made his first team debut in 91 at just 17 years old. Known for his incredible pace, skill, and longevity, Giggs became the most decorated player in English football history. With the January transfer window done and dusted, this is what our squad will look like. Gyökeres will slot in at the striker's spot, a definite upgrade for us at that position. We had mixed form in January, but as we head into February, the Europa League will be a big focus for us. Although we won't automatically automatically advance to the knockout stages, we will be competing in the playoffs, finishing in a 12th place position. There are definitely some solid teams that we might match up against moving forward. For the time being, our playoff fixture is against Hartsburg, and their standout talent is Donis Avdijai, who back in the day used to have decent potential in career mode, featuring for the likes of Schalke. But we win the away leg 4-2 and the home leg actually going against us, but we still advance 4-3 on aggregate into the round of 16 against Braga. No doubt Roger Fernandes is the top talent at Braga, but he's transferred away to Leipzig. So I think it's safe to say the Portuguese talent Ricardo Horta is the top player at the club. Our home leg fixture will end in a draw, but the away leg ends up going to penalty kicks. Fortunately, we get the better of our Portuguese opponents and advance to the quarterfinals, where we'll be playing against Dynamo Kiev. There are some good talents at this club. Vladislav Vanet is probably the best of the bunch, currently at a 76 overall, but he's got 84 potential. The home leg ends up in our favor despite the missed penalty kick from Fernandes, and the same scoreline in the second leg will see us through 4-2 on aggregate up against Roma in the semifinals. No doubt about who the best player at this club will be. Paulo Dybala, still going strong into his 30s now at an 87 overall. A reassuring 2-0 victory in our home fixture, and despite a loss in the second leg, we still advance 3-2 on aggregate, putting us up against another Portuguese opponent in Porto for the final. Before we can play that Europa League final, we have a different cup final with the FA Cup, where we match up against Chelsea. Fernandes coming through with the match-winning goal to give us a 2-1 victory, so that will mark our first bit of silverware for the club. You've got to consider this first season a success. If Amorim manages to win any trophy this season, that's got to be the sort of start that he wants at United. It's also going to give him that fan backing, which is always needed for a high-profile job. Our focus now has to go on the Europa League, though. Not only is it a chance for us to win another trophy, but it could grant us a place in the Champions League, which we're not going to achieve through the Premier League. Here's how our squad will line up, still utilizing the 3-4-2-1 formation and putting a lot of focus on our young talents. Porto won't be an easy opponent, though. They've got a great shot stopper in Diogo Costa, and they've got attacking threats across the board. Historically speaking, United have a decent track record in these cup finals, especially in the Europa League. Although they've fallen short in a few penalty shootouts, they have won it fairly recently within the last 10 years or so, and I'm sure that they wouldn't mind doing it again. Fernandes starts things off looking for that Sporting connection with Gyökeres. Unfortunately, that shot is saved well from Diogo Costa, but in the 44th minute, it's Fernandes again pulling the strings, a long-range effort going off of the crossbar. Very unfortunate not to have the lead going into the halftime break, but Fernandes down this left-hand side, finding Gyökeres. This time, there's no doubt about it. He'll be putting that one away to give us the lead in the 69th minute. He's been the answer for us at the striker position, and I don't care what the cost might be, Gyökeres is the striker that United have been looking for a long time. Anyways, it's going to be Garnacho that draws a foul inside the penalty box, only a yellow card for the defender, which I found surprising. But from the spot, it's going to be Fernandes to take it. No doubt about this one, he is going to go forward and slot that one to the left, knocking over the water bottle in the process, and that will double our lead, almost securing us victory in this match unless we absolutely collapse. Of course, that won't be the case, and we will secure the double for the season, a victory in the FA Cup as well as the Europa League. Not an easy feat to accomplish considering a manager change halfway through the season, and it's safe to say based on these results, the future is bright at Manchester United. We'll go over the end of season standings, ultimately finishing in an 8th place spot as Manchester City end up equal on points with Spurs, but win the title due to a +1 goal differential over them. Arsenal and Aston Villa rounding out the Champions League spots. Middle of the pack going pretty much as expected. I would say Chelsea had a disappointing season, with Everton performing above their expectations. But it will be Brentford, Southampton, and Ipswich that see relegation to the Championship. As for the Championship, Leeds and Luton Town securing automatic promotion to the Premier League. Burnley end up as Championship playoff winners, so they will also see the return to the Premier League. To replicate current results, Manchester City got the win over us in the FA Community Shield to start the season. We, of course, won the FA Cup over Chelsea, In the Carabao Cup, we saw a quarterfinals exit against Liverpool, with Manchester City also winning that competition. And in the UEFA Super Cup, Real Madrid defeating Atalanta. Aston Villa with a really impressive performance in the Champions League to reach the final, but they lose out to Borussia Dortmund, who repeat appearances in the final in consecutive seasons, but end up winning it this time. Fiorentina were Conference League winners against Royal Antwerp. Bruno Fernandes with a really good stat line in this first season, 42 goals across 64 appearances. That made him the Premier League top goal scorer. None of our other players make it into the top 10. Garnacho and Fernandes were equal on assists, so you can expect us to rank somewhere in the top 10. It's actually John McGinn who is joint top with Martin Odegaard for the Premier League, and Fernandes just sneaking in there at the 10th place spot with 7 Premier League assists. Onana ranking as the 4th best goalkeeper as far as Premier League clean sheets go. Interestingly enough, it's Erling Haaland who wins Premier League Player of the Season. Probably had to do with Manchester City winning the Premier League title. We do have a few players with contracts expiring at the end of the season. Tom Heaton, Johnny Evans, and Victor Lindelof all will be leaving the club. Got some updates on our Youth Academy talents. Michael Reese is our Ryan Giggs regen. He's got a great overall at 66 and also great potential of 89 to 94. Noah Fabre is our Paul Pogba regen, a 59 rated center midfielder with 89 to 94 potential. And Sam Massey acting as our David Beckham regen, a 54 rated left midfielder with 89 to 94 potential. Regardless of what the next few months look like for Amorim, the summer transfer window is when I think he can really make his mark on the squad. There's certainly areas that we can improve this team, and we'll start with some incoming offers, beginning with an offer for Joshua Zirkzee. A lot of mixed feedback about him. Many are saying he's better suited for Serie A, so when an offer came in from Inter, I was very much open to accepting it. We received $45.5 million as part of the transfer, as he returns to the league that he initially transferred away from. Longtime Manchester United player Luke Shaw off to Brighton. This was a transfer I was thinking a lot about, but I think it's probably time for him to move on. He's just been plagued by so many injuries, and he's no longer a first choice option here. To reflect some realism, I also let Jadon Sancho leave to Newcastle. I think what will probably happen is he'll stay with Chelsea, or Chelsea will transfer him to another club and just get the profits, as he does have a pretty low buyout clause as part of his current loan. Antony joining Al Hilal for $17.5 million. This is a transfer that I could actually see happening. As far as incoming transfers, we'll look to sign a player who is a star in my current West Ham United career mode, and definitely someone that the top clubs are interested in bringing in with Mohamed Kudus. Kudus began his football journey at the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana before moving to Denmark to join FC Nordsjælland in 2018. He secured a move to Ajax in 2020, where he thrived in both domestic and European competitions, showcasing his dribbling vision and goal-scoring prowess. He's been a key player for Ghana with some good performances in the 2022 World Cup, and that global attention was a big reason that he joined West Ham United in the Premier League. It will be an expensive transfer. Kudus' release clause will approach that 89 to 100 million mark. Again, this number is subject to change. I think the longer he stays at West Ham, the less he'll probably leave for. As far as center backs go, there's a number of options that I was considering, starting with a few Sporting players. Gonzalo Inacio has transferred to Brighton, so I kind of ruled him out as an option. Ousmane Diomande, definitely someone I was considering. Young player and a lot of potential for the future. Ultimately, I decided on an English talent though with Jared Branthwaite, who has a lot of Manchester United links right now. Branthwaite began his career at Carlisle United, progressing through their youth academy and making his first team debut in 2019. He joined Everton shortly after, where he has continued to develop into a promising defender. Initially gaining experience through loan spells at Blackburn Rovers and PSV Eindhoven, he's become a regular starter for Everton, going on to make his senior debut for the English national team this year, further establishing his reputation as a rising star. Similar to pretty much every transfer that we've made prior to him, it's going to be a big price tag if United do end up bringing in Branthwaite. $70 million is what I decided to pay. That is kind of in line with the rumored prices that I'm seeing right now for his transfer fee. I could see United strengthening up their midfield in the summer, and Carlos Baleba has stood out as a young talent and rising star for Brighton. You've got to wonder though, if he were to leave, how much that transfer fee would be, considering the price tag that Moises Caicedo left to Chelsea for not too long ago. Could be worth looking outside the Premier League for established players like Ederson, who is having a spectacular season for Atalanta. After starting his career in Brazil with Cruzeiro and Corinthians, Ederson moved to Salernitana in January 2022. His dynamic performances helped the club avoid relegation, earning him recognition as one of Serie A's rising stars. The following summer, Ederson joined Atalanta, where he quickly became a key figure in their midfield. Renowned for his defensive work rate, tactical intelligence, and ability to help transition play, he has been instrumental in Atalanta's domestic and European successes. Similar to Branthwaite, he just got his national team call-up this year, and I think he will continue to get better and better. It's going to be a £50 million transfer to see this deal through. A lot to pay, but if Ederson can become a consistent player in our starting 11, I think it's worth the price. The fullback role is instrumental to Amorim's system, and I'm not sure that Garnacho will be that wide option for him. It may be worth looking for someone that can play that left wingback role, like an Alphonso Davies, who has his contract running out with Bayern. Since he has already joined Spurs, we'll turn towards a Premier League talent with Ryan Ait-Nouri. He started his career at Angers in France, making his Ligue 1 debut in 2018 before moving to Wolves on loan in 2020. After a strong debut season, Wolves signed him permanently in 2021, where he has continued to flourish as a wingback known for his pace, dribbling, and attacking threat. Although he is a player in demand, this was actually our least expensive deal of the summer. $38 million for a player that's going to be a huge part of our tactical success and still a lot of room to grow. We've got 3 new scouting networks to set up, and we'll once again begin in England searching for a playmaker, center midfielder / center attacking mid. This is meant to resemble Paul Scholes, who is one of Manchester United's greatest midfielders, known for his vision, passing range, and ability to score crucial goals. Also a product of United's class of '92, he made his debut in 1994 and spent his entire 20-year career at the club. Onwards to our second scout, and he'll be setting up a network in Ireland to search for a box-to-box and holding center midfielder. Whether you know him from his playing days or as a pundit, Keane was Manchester United's captain and midfield enforcer during their dominant years under Sir Alex Ferguson. Joining the club in 1993 from Nottingham Forest, he was the heart of the team's midfield for over a decade. Keane's leadership and combative style were key to United's success, including 7 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, and that treble in 1999 that we were talking about earlier. One scout left, and we'll be heading to Asia, specifically Korea, as we search for a right midfield winger, left midfield winger, and center attacking mid with the playmaker plus playstyle. Ji-Sung Park was known for his incredible work rates and was a key utility player for Manchester United. During his 7-year stint at United, Park made 205 appearances, scoring 27 goals, and still remains a fan favorite for his selfless contributions and clutch performances. We've got a busy month of August ahead, starting in the FA Community Shield, where we'll play against Manchester City. Unfortunately, the Citizens get the results over us in consecutive years as we fall 3-2. We'll hope for better form against last season's Champions League winners, Borussia Dortmund. The Nuri Sahin era is fully underway with them, and they're going to continue their good form, defeating us 1-0 and managing a clean sheet. So with those losses out of the way, we'll start our season in the Premier League against newly promoted Luton Town. Here's how the squad lines up, especially after a busy transfer window. We had some decisions to make, but I feel confident with this starting 11, and our decision to put faith in some of our new signings like Kudus has paid off, as he managed to get us the match-winning goal in the 69th minute. We'll stay unbeaten for the rest of August and continue our good form all the way up to December, where we finally start to drop some points. That will bring us to January, where we currently sit 4th in the Premier League standings. Liverpool, the standout team so far, as they are 9 points clear of Arsenal for the first place spot. In the Champions League, we have managed to sit top of the group stage to date. Still a few matches left to play. Starting 11-wise, we have a single change compared to our lineup at the beginning of the season. Mino has been brought back into the first team as we had an injury for Ederson. He's got a torn hamstring and he'll be out for an additional 2 months. We'll close out the Champions League group stage top of the group and securing our spot in the round of 16. Here's a look at the teams that will be competing in the playoffs. Definitely some good names in there, including Amorim's former club Sporting. This is what I mean. We have a tough draw against Bayern in the round of 16. They've had an interesting transfer with David Alaba returning to the club after leaving for Real Madrid just a few short years ago. We do put in a great performance in the away fixture though, 3-0 at the Allianz Arena, made for a pretty routine second leg. We lose that one 2-3, but still advance 5-3 on aggregate. AC Milan will be our next opponent, and speaking of Bayern players, Kingsley Coman has made the move to Serie A, where he features for them as an 84 overall talent. Ruben Loftus-Cheek scoring the go-ahead goal to give Milan the lead going into the second leg. Unfortunately, that one ends up scoreless, so we see an exit in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We'll now need to put our full attention on the FA Cup final against Aston Villa. They're a team I don't take lightly. They made the Champions League final last season, and they are still ranking as one of the better Premier League clubs. This fixture won't do too much for our fate next season, as we already have qualified for the Champions League via our Premier League performance. And I'll spare you guys most of the game highlights as it ended up scoreless, so we'll go to penalty kicks after regulation and extra time. I like our odds in penalty kicks. Onana has established himself as one of the better Premier League goalkeepers, so I'll take our chances here against a strong Aston Villa team. And it looks like both teams are struggling to put away chances, as both have missed at least one of the penalty kicks, but this is a chance for us to claim victory. Onana stays rooted to the spot and we'll just continue. This time it's going to be Milinkovic-Savic, who's been brought in by Aston Villa, but his penalty is saved and we will win the FA Cup in dramatic fashion. Back-to-back seasons winning this competition, and this team is only going to get better. Now we just need to translate some of that success to make a later run into the Champions League and start to challenge for the Premier League title. A final look at the Premier League standings sees us finish second. We'll take that as a result, and definitely an improvement from last year. Spurs were the team that struggled this season, all the way down in 9th place. And as for the relegated teams, it's going to be Leeds, Luton Town, and Nottingham Forest. Sunderland have finally done it. They're back in the Premier League after winning the Championship playoffs. City continued their reign as FA Community Shield champions, defeating us at the beginning of the season. Of course, we also lost the UEFA Super Cup to Dortmund to begin the year. We saw an exit in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup to City, who lost to Arsenal in the final. Following our quarterfinals exit in the Champions League, Milan lost to Porto, whereas Manchester City defeated PSG on penalties. It's heartbreak for Porto, losing consecutive European finals last year in the Europa League to us, now in the Champions League final to Manchester City. An all-Italian Europa League final as Roma defeated Atalanta. And Trabzonspor were Conference League victors, defeating Sevilla. Bruno Fernandes continuing as our top goal scorer at the club. He actually had the second most goals of the Premier League, with João Pedro leading the way for Brighton. Gyökeres also ranking in the top 10. He finished with 18 Premier League goals, so good to see his numbers go up. Fernandes by and far the top assist player for us, 24 assists from 59 appearances. He led the way in the Premier League by a good margin, 8 clear of anyone else, and the only player for this Manchester United team to make it into the top 10. Clean sheets wise, Onana will take the Golden Glove Award, 11 clean sheets from 38 appearances, but it comes as no surprise. Bruno Fernandes, the Premier League player this season. Gyökeres is up to 90 for his rating, and his valuation has exceeded 100 million. Christian Eriksen is retiring at the end of the season. Harry Maguire actually accepting a pre-contract deal to join Bologna, and Casemiro is just becoming a free agent, so he'll continue his playing career. Quick update on Giggs' regen. Michael Reese, he's up to a 76 overall while at Genoa for a loan spell. And an update on Pogba's regen, Fabra, who's up to a 67 overall. Dylan Moran is the Youth Academy player we found to resemble Keane. He's got a 64 overall and 83 to 89 potential. Harvey Bacon is Paul Scholes' Youth Academy player. The 61 rated center midfielder has 85 to 91 potential. We found a good player to resemble Ji-Sung Park. It's Hoonwoo Kang, a 56 rated center attacking mid with 93 to 94 potential. That third season in charge seems to be so crucial for Manchester United managers. I think the objective now has to be winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League. We've certainly got the budget to continue improving this squad. With that said, some players are starting to get unhappy with their playtime, like Rasmus Højlund. Maybe it's a controversial move, but I decided to accept this transfer offer from Arsenal. We'll be receiving $45.5 million as part of the transfer. Tyler Malacia has struggled to get game time. He'll be joining West Ham for $10 million. In terms of arrivals, I felt like making another defender upgrade with Branthwaite out for a few more months due to injury. Let's turn to Edmond Tapsoba to further strengthen this back line. Tapsoba moved to Portugal in 2017, joining Vitória de Guimarães, where he excelled with their B team before becoming a standout performer in the first team. His composure, ball distribution, and defensive prowess caught the attention of Bayer Leverkusen, who signed him in January 2020. Turn to modern day, he's established himself as one of the Bundesliga's top defenders, anchoring Leverkusen's back line with an aerial strength and ability to play out from the back. I think this is also a nice nod to Amorim's roots in Portugal. It's going to be a $50 million deal. Honestly, not bad considering the price we paid for some of our other transfers in this rebuild. The wild thing is he's probably going to continue improving in his rating, so he's not done at this 85 overall. We haven't signed a Sporting player since season 1 with Gyökeres. So now we're going to turn to one of Sporting's most promising players with Giovanni Quenda. He has rapidly ascended through Sporting's ranks, becoming a key player in their first team. His standout performances, notably in Sporting's 4-1 victory over Man City in the Champions League, have definitely started to draw attention. He got a crucial assist in that match, and that shows he can play at the highest level. Some current links have Manchester United preparing a $33 million offer to sign the young talent. I think it's unlikely that Sporting would let him go for that low of a fee, but only time will tell. Having said that, his contract was running out at the end of the season, which kind of allowed me to rationalize a lower price tag. $25 million was the final transfer fee. He's got potential to be special, so we've got a great player on our hands. 3 more scouting updates to come, beginning in England as we search for a shadow striker, center attacking mid, and an advanced forward and false 9 striker. This is meant to resemble Wayne Rooney, Manchester United's all-time leading scorer with 253 goals in 559 appearances. Joining United in 2004 from Everton as a teenager, Rooney quickly became a key player for the club. Known for his versatility, starting as a striker and even playing in the midfield in some of his later years. Our second scouting report will be having a network in Sweden as we search for an advanced forward striker. There are 2 Swedes that come to mind with links to Manchester United, Henrik Larsson and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They both left lasting legacies at United despite their short stints. Larsson spent a season on loan in 2007, just playing 13 games, but brought a lot of invaluable experience, professionalism, and leadership, helping United secure the Premier League title that season. Zlatan joined in 2016 and made an immediate impact, scoring 28 goals in his first season and led United to victories in the Europa League, EFL Cup, and Community Shield. Our third and final scout will be setting up a network in Portugal, searching for a target forward and advanced forward striker. This, of course, is meant to resemble none other than Cristiano Ronaldo. His first stint at Manchester United from 2003 to 2009 made him the global superstar that we know him of, scoring 118 goals in 292 appearances, 3 Premier League titles, and the 2008 Champions League, along with the Ballon d'Or. He made his return in 2021 after spending over a decade with Real Madrid, where he added another 27 goals across 54 appearances in 2 seasons. But we've got the FA Community Shield to kick off our third season. This one will be played against Liverpool, who we haven't seen a whole lot of in this rebuild as far as the gameplay goes. But here is the starting 11. Tapsoba sliding right into the right center back position. Quenda, I figure, can come off the bench as an impact sub. And for a change, we actually win one of our fixtures at the start. A 3-2 victory will mark our first FA Community Shield. It's a shame that it's always going to be the Premier League trophy that's presented for these domestic competitions. Must be a bug that still needs to be fixed by EA. But how about this for a difficult month of August? Fixtures against Manchester City, Liverpool, and then Arsenal in the Premier League. Fortunately, we do win our Prem opener against City 2-1, with Tapsoba scoring the match-winning goal. And I will honestly take that for an opening month. 2 wins out of 3 in the Prem, and some pretty good form for domestic competitions as we push forward. All the way up through to the January transfer window, we're going to check on results, and we sit top of the Premier League table. Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City are trailing us in those top 4 spots. For the Champions League, not as good as last season, but still performing well enough to get that automatic qualification to the round of 16. Still 2 matches to play for that competition. We are still going in the FA Cup, a 3rd round matchup against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, we did see an exit in the Carabao Cup, losing to Spurs in the 4th round. No cause for concern in our starting 11, so we'll finish up those last few Champions League fixtures, and we performed pretty well, moving up in our rank all the way up to 2nd. The teams that finished 9th through 24th will be competing in that playoff to determine who some of our opponents will be moving forward. It's going to be another tough matchup in the round of 16 as we've been drawn against Juventus. They've got another former Bayer Leverkusen center back with Jonathan Tah, 87 overall at 31 years old. I think Juve are going to be a force to be reckoned with, but their defense couldn't stop us. Goals from Fernandes, Mino, and Kudus put us up 3-0 on aggregates, and it was a draw in the second leg, meaning that we'll advance 4-1 on aggregates. Inter will be our opponent in the quarterfinals. We'll check in on Xerxes, who's up to an 87 rating. The move back to Serie A seemed to fare well for him. Was a draw in the opening fixture and a red card for Bastoni, which is a big deal because defensively they seem to struggle in the second leg. We put 4 goals past them to advance 5-1 on aggregate, where we'll now face Atletico Madrid in the semifinals. I seem to be showcasing a lot of these Leverkusen players as Frimpong has made the transfer to La Liga. He's at an 86 overall, but we keep on scoring goals. We put 3 past him in the first leg and win the second leg, managing a clean sheet at Old Trafford to put us through to the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Madrid still have a star-studded trio with Mbappe, Vinny, and Jude Bellingham. I think it's fitting that we've got to beat the best in order to be the best in Europe. That will actually be our final fixture of the season, so we can check all results. And we do finish 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. So that will be United's last Premier League title since 2012. It's been over a decade and several managers since Sir Alex Ferguson. But Amorim has finally done it. He's got the winning formula and the winning squad. Hopefully we can find the answer in the Champions League as well. A look at the rest of the Premier League standings sees Arsenal finish 9th. As for the relegation zone, it's Sunderland, Burnley, and Southampton that see the drop to the Championship. Nottingham Forest and Ipswich Town see their return to the Premier League, and it's Leeds who also will be joining them next season in the Prem. Recapping some of the other competitions, we started the season with a victory in the FA Community Shield, losing to Blackburn Rovers in the 6th round or quarterfinals of the FA Cup. It's a great matchup for the final. Aston Villa playing their rivals Birmingham City, something that you would not expect to see in the FA Cup, but it's Villa that end up winning the competition. That 4th round exit in the Carabao Cup to Spurs definitely stung, and another rivalry fixture in the final with Arsenal defeating Spurs in the North London derby. For the UEFA Super Cup, City started the season with the win against Roma. Ajax defeated Aston Villa in the Europa League final. Nice to see them getting another European trophy. And Atalanta were Conference League winners, defeating Girona in the final. Because this Champions League final against Madrid will be our last match, I figured we'd cover all the statistics. Bruno Fernandes continuing as the top goal scorer for the club. And he also had the Premier League Golden Boot, with Kolo Muani not far behind him, an interesting move that he made to Wolves. But 2 other players ranking in the top 10 for us, it's Kudus with 18 Premier League goals and Gyökeres with 17 Prem goals. Fernandes didn't have as great of a season, 4 assists, but still led the club 13 from 58. It was still good enough for him to have the 2nd most Premier League assists behind Manar Solomon, who is at the top. Diogo Dalot also managed to squeeze in there at the 7th place spot with 7 assists. And Onana led the Premier League in clean sheets, 4 ahead of anyone else, so great to see that he's progressed into a top goalkeeper. And in back-to-back seasons, Fernandes will win Premier League Player of the Season. We'll run through all our Youth Academy talents, kind of see where they're at with things. Sam Massey finally seeing a promotion to the first team. He's at a 58 overall at 16 years old. Harvey Bacon to a 66 rating while on loan. Fabra is at a 71 overall while on loan at Rangers. Dylan Moran, a 70 overall center attacking mid. By far our best Youth Academy talent has been Giggs' regen the 79 rated left midfielder in Michael Reese. This last batch of Youth Academy players coming through, Sebastian Naylor is a 64 rated center mid. Interesting to see that's the kind of player that came through for Rooney. Ronaldo's regen ended up being a left winger, which I only found to be fitting. It's Cesar Prestes, a 64 rated talent with 81 to 94 potential. And finally, we've got Samuel Mohamed, who is meant to be the regen of Henrik Larsson and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This will be our starting 11 of choice. We've got one suspension with Ryan Ait-Nouri at left mid, so Garnacho comes in for that role. Here's the Madrid starting 11. Luka Modric still holding it down in the midfield. That is absolutely incredible and something you love to see in career mode. Although we've spent a lot of money in this rebuild, I do believe it is fitting for this Manchester United squad. It's going to take time before Amorim builds his dream team, and I hope he does get the opportunity to progress as a manager because, relatively speaking, this is his first major appointment. He did great at Sporting, but you've got a lot less pressure when you're not managing one of the Premier League's top clubs. Hopefully the players can support him and he can kind of build off the relationships he already has with the likes of Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes. But it's going to be Kudus who starts things off, finding Fernandes in the middle, and he will put away the first chance of this match. It only took us 15 minutes to get past this Real Madrid defense, and our attack, it's just too good to stop at this point. Fernandes has been contributing so many goals, whether it is him scoring them himself or providing the assists. But Real Madrid looked to answer back in the second half. One of their regen players ends up getting through, and Mbappe, slightly disappointing for him not to do better in this match. I mean, it played to our favor, but a player of his quality, you'd expect him to be putting away these sort of chances. We're going to scramble and look to get this one clear. Finally, we do. And as we get to the 91st minute, we've got possession. We've pretty much got this match in our hands, but we'll score one more goal, and I think it's fitting that it came from our first signing with Gyökeres. He's taken on the number 9 squad number with United, and I think that's what he will be for them in the future should he choose to make the move. With how he's performing, he's kind of got the choice over what team he wants to join. But that's one more trophy to add to this club's legendary achievements. And with how this squad is shaping up to be, we've returned United as one of England's powerhouses. As we get to these final cutscenes, I want to wish a happy holidays to all of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving this week. It's a great time to reflect on what you're grateful for, and I'm definitely grateful for this community we have here. Hope to be returning with some more videos throughout November and December. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new, but until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to y'all again soon.